y cynghorydd Dai Clements. Felly, os newch chi ddangos eich cytundeb gyda pwyntio Dai fel cadeirydd.
Thank you.
Mae hwnna'n unfrydol. Felly, llongyflliadau. Na i baso ymlaen.
Does dim hit.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay.
Good day, yes. And Simon as well.
Simon?
Oh,
Sorry.
Come on, take
Sorry, going on.
Yeah, people.
Are we done?
Yeah, that's all.
Brilliant. Well, thank you all. Thank you once again for putting your trust in me. I feel very privileged to be continuing the role for another year. Please rest assured the reputation of Pembrokeshire Coast National Park is paramount in all I do on behalf of all members. Thank you for your support and I look forward to a productive year.
Congratulations.
Yeah. First of all, I'd like to welcome officially Councillor Maureen Bowen, who joins us to replace Councillor Tony Wilcott, who takes on the licensing chair at Pembrokeshire County Council. I'd also like to welcome Councillor Claire George, who recently elected after the sad passing of Reg Owens, who joins us to replace Councillor Rhys Jordan, who takes on the chair of Schools and Learning at PCC. I'd like to thank both Tony and Rhys for their commitment, passion and hard work whilst on the National Park Authority. We will miss you both, but we wish you well in your new role. The new ones that are joining us, we welcome you and we hope you're settling in. And I know we all look forward to working with you. And as I said, I think before, we're quite a friendly bunch. So if there's anything you want to know, please ask. There we are. Thank you. Well, I'll carry on to the next agenda item, which is to appoint a deputy chair for the ensuing year. Nominations received is Dr. Rachel Heath-Davis, who I proposed. I can't remember who seconded, but I think they're various. But I'd like you to show whether you agree with that, please. Yeah, I think that's unanimous. Thank you very much. And welcome back. Rachel, congratulations. Deputy Chair, and I'm so glad that you're continuing.
Thank you. It's one last year for me, but thank you very much. Final year, and I support you in all your work.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, members. Agenda item 3, to receive apologies for absence, please. Do we have any?
Apologies from Councillor Peter Moore.
Thank you. Do we have any disclosures of interest by members or officers in respect of any item of business? Rosie, please, Dr. Plummer.
for the purposes of this meeting, just simply for context, NRW board member and chair of its Areas Committee and Plant Life trustee and Plant Life Biodiversity Enhancements Limited Director.
Thank you. And I should have said actually before I started that I think we're planning on about 10:20, depending on how the next item goes, to have a joint photograph, group photograph outside probably. So just
You've not done your hair again, Mike.
yes, I was going to say I'm sure Councillor Simon Hancock or Councillor Mike James will be able to. Oh, I can even pass the ornament.
Yeah, say, don't leave me out.
I'll be very cheeky, you do apologise. I'll move swiftly on to the next report of the Democratic Services Manager, who's Caroline Torellen, on the membership of the authority, its committees, groups and external organisations. So over to you, Caroline, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Can I begin by congratulating both yourself and the Deputy Chair on their reappointments, and I look forward to working with you both again over the coming year. And could I also take this opportunity to thank all members for their help and support over the last year. You make the work of the Democratic Services team much easier than it could otherwise be.
Oh, we're not.
Just had to get that in.
Thank you, Caroline.
So turning to the report before you, this seeks to be the membership of the committees, groups and representatives on outside bodies. There are a number of vacancies that are highlighted in the attachment. And this is also the opportunity for you to swap committees should you wish. And I'm aware that Mrs. Hoss and Mrs. James would like to swap their membership of the Ordinary Corporate and Operational Review committees respectively to swap over. So I don't know if anybody else would have that intention. But turning to the appendix, there are 2 vacancies on the Operational Review Committee caused by the departures of Councillors Wilcox and Jordan. As you are aware, or most of you are aware anyway, members serve either on the Audit and Corporate Services Review Committee or the Operational Review Committee. So these vacancies would ordinarily be filled by Councillor Maureen Bowen and Councillor Claire George, unless there are any others. Anybody else wants to swap?
Would you prefer audit or operational
review would be my preference.
Same here. Right. If anybody else wants to swap stuff, long as everybody else is happy with that.
Yep. Very happy, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next task then is to appoint members to the new Human Resources Committee, which, as you will recall, combines the work of the Human Resources and the Member Support and Development Committees. So, would any members like to put themselves forward? You can see the 6 councillors, 12 government members.
Claire?
No,
Oh, sorry. Sorry. I was reading, that was very rude of me.
No, not at all. As we're combining the HR and the Member Support and Development Committee, and we might look at widening the title so that we.
I think it's People Services, isn't it? Whether we were going to reflect the
People member.
Yes.
To be decided. But can I suggest that as the past chair of the HR committee, that it would be appropriate, given my HR background, but also for Mrs. Sarah Hoss as the previous chair of MSDC, for us to both be on that committee for continuity purposes, if nothing else. Thank you. And Sarah and I have spoken about this, so that was just my starter for 10.
Everybody happy with
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Very much.
Thank you, Julie. We've got 2, so how many more do we need?
We need another Welsh Government member.
Yes.
Okay.
And councillors.
6 councillors.
In principle, I'm willing, Chair, although I have a prior commitment for the 19th of March, which we've been given the meeting dates. But in principle, I'm willing as a Welsh Government member, if that's helpful.
Yep, that would be very helpful. I've got no other takers from Welsh Government appointees, so if everybody's happy with that. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just going to say I've been on HR committee for years, so it's nice to have a bit of rotation and change.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm very happy there. I'll see you in audit.
So we want six more councillors.
I'm happy to.
Yeah, Claire, Maureen, you're happy too?
Yeah.
Mike? 3. Claire, Maureen and Mike. And Vanessa, thank you. 4. And I've been on it a long time as well, so if there's somebody else that would like to have a go.
I think it's good to have the
bit
chair
of
of
chair.
authority on that,
Oh,
actually.
okay, all right.
That's very good.
Keep an eye on us.
What about folk on the script? Madeline may feel motivated, or Chris might feel motivated.
Well, I think we have to have either Chris or
Yes, we have 3 Welsh Government.
And Madeline,
Well, Madeline might have been gagging for it, and I didn't.
I don't think so.
wasn't overly keen
No.
to promote herself, so I presume not. No, So I need one more. Okay, that's if everybody's happy, I'll continue with it. Is there any other councillor that will put themselves forward for this, please?
Got rather a lot of ladies, but that's good because girl power. That's
Thank you.
No, I've got no takers.
Peter was on it. Can I suggest Peter?
We can do, but I'm not sure.
Peters.
Yeah.
No,
That's fine.
You will be.
Oh, sorry.
we can start.
Chris?
Fancy Chris?
Chris. Go on, Chris.
Yeah, if you're struggling and no one else wants to stick their hand up, then yes.
Thank you very much.
Well done, McMahon.
Thank you. Is everybody happy with that arrangement? We've got Claire, Maureen, Mike, Vanessa, me, Chris.
Julie, Sarah and
Julie,
Rosie.
Sarah and Rosie. Yeah, lovely. Okay, thank you very much. Over to you, Caroline.
Thank you. Okay, so turning over the page, there is a vacancy for a councillor to sit on the employee forum. Anybody interested in sitting on that group?
It's not onerous.
It isn't.
It's not onerous.
Twice a year at best.
Any takers?
It's a bit more of an informal group.
Maureen, please. If there's any other takers? No? Thank you. Thanks, Maureen.
As you will see from the report, explained in the report, there is a need to appoint a member to the Standards Committee appointment panel. The vacancy for an independent member of the Standards Committee is currently being advertised. So I do hope this panel will meet in the next month or so, hopefully in the next month or so anyway, to appoint someone to the role. However, as long as that appointment is successful, I don't anticipate that the committee will need to meet again this year. So again, this is not the onerous committee to sit on, but it can't
It's
be.
a task and finish, isn't it?
It is really, but it doesn't be either councillor or Welsh Government appointed member. It doesn't.
But it can't be members of the
But
Standards
it can't
Committee.
be a member of the Standards Committee.
Madeline?
Yes, I'd be happy to do that. Sounds as if it's going to be a great responsibility, but I'm happy to do that.
Thank you very much.
So a little further down the page, there is an opportunity for someone to become a substitute for the youth committee. However, as we already have one substitute in Councillor Blackhall, it isn't necessary to appoint somebody, but if anybody has a desire to be a substitute on the youth committee, there is an opportunity there.
That's good. Good team.
It's enough, isn't it?
That's fine, it is.
Yeah.
So finally on this page, you'll see there are several vacancies on the Income Diversification Working Group, which you will recall was set up at the end of last year to guide and support the work of the authority in relation to income diversification. The group will in fact meet after lunch today. So if anybody would like some lunch, some of you
Meet with lunch.
It's actually not allowed to have lunch.
Baited the hook. Baited the hook. Come on, Julie.
Dear.
Do we have any takers for that? Quite an important group now, I think. Next, going forward. So, join. You'll join. Thank you, Rachel.
Chair, I'd be happy to join on.
Thank you, Claire.
and
Mike. Yeah.
Not because there's lunch.
Sure. Okay, that swung it, did it?
Chair.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? Well, thank you to those who've offered. Very grateful.
If there's need for more, then darkened rooms will be used.
Yeah. But that doesn't mean to say if you have a good idea, you must still put it forward, please. Or encourage to put ideas forward, even even though you're not on it. So, Councillor Mike James, please.
Well, diolch yn fawr, Cadeirydd, thank you. Due to my lack of travelling these days, I cannot give my best to the volunteer forum. it's a fantastic group to work with. But yeah, I just so.
Okay, is there anybody else perhaps who would like to take Councillor James's place on that volunteer forum?
Just Sam steps.
Just wondering if Sam would like to step up as the
Go with that.
representative and we find a substitute. Would that be?
Thank you.
Oh.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that's
We're really
thinking.
York,
Yeah,
Sam.
thanks, Sam. So do I have a substitute? Councillor Williams, Chris Williams. Thank you very much. Is there anybody else? No? Thanks, Chris. Thank you very much.
Okay, so we turn on then to representation on outside bodies. There are a few vacancies on the CJC Regional Economic Development Subgroup and the Cambridge College Advisory Forum, and also substitute members for the Joint Council for Wales and the Port of Nothaven Advisory Committee.
The Joint Council for Wales Economic. That was three.
Economic Development.
That was three.
That's right, yeah, both of those. Brought by restored Wales.
So do I have any focus for that?
You'd be good at that. You'd be good at that.
To be honest, I don't know, Steve, the Joint Council rarely meets, doesn't it?
They
Well,
have
they don't-
meetings.
They do have meetings, most of which I get sent back at the union meetings with employees.
Yeah.
But I am actually on representing the
The energy.
energy
Yeah.
subgroup, which, it's.
Oh, sorry, yeah, I was
Actually,
in the
like,
Joint
We're doing
Council.
the DJP.
Sorry.
We're already on the strategic, when I'm on the transport and planning one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on
So
the
it's like
overall
getting out,
one.
isn't it? I know.
Yeah, so
Oh, they've got a lot.
yes,
There are lots of.
yes.
Seven, I think.
The only good thing about them is the CJC, the main CJC one takes about half an hour. So it's quite short. But I don't know how long the others take.
I'm not volunteering at the moment. I just want to ask you a question. Do you have a lot of interaction with the trade unions?
Well, as I said, I didn't think I was part of that. I was part of the energy group. But yes, there is. There's a serious interaction. From what I can gather from the minutes that I get sent. Why I'm being sent the minutes, I'm not entirely sure, because I didn't think I was part of that group.
I don't know.
That's with regard to the CJC.
Yeah. So I'm not quite sure. I do keep getting sent them, and they come, 3 weeks at a time,
Yeah.
This is the Joint Council
Yeah,
for Wales
we-
one we're doing, isn't it, at the moment?
Joint
So-
Council, yeah.
Joint Council, you.
Yeah.
You're representative on the Joint Council.
Yeah, I am for the energy. I thought.
No.
Yeah, no, that's for the Corporate Joint Committee, that's the end one. This is the Welsh Local Government Association one.
That's why.
Confused. Yeah.
So actually, in terms of the
Chair,
Joint Council, yes.
Chair, Madeline's got her hand up.
Madeline.
Thank you, Chair. I think it just has been explained. I was just wanting clarification of the Joint Council for Wales is WLGA associated rather than being the joint committee, the South West Wales Joint Committee.
That's right. We were getting a little confused, I think. There's a lot of these subcommittees.
Thank you.
Good morning.
If there's a lot of interaction with the trade unions, I'd be very interested.
So, thank you. So you're currently the representative for the Joint Council for Wales, Steve,
Yes.
and you're putting yourself forward for the substitute. Yeah, good. Okay, everybody's clear. Do I have any other takers?
It's another general comment.
Okay. No, thank you, Maureen. Thank you. Do you want to say your comment?
Yeah, it would be useful perhaps another list. It shows how many different groups we go
Yeah.
into, but things are coming out that shows where Di and I also go for other meetings on Tengra and Tilda. So it might be useful, especially the CJC, to show Because I think perhaps a little bit over time, it'd be good to have clarity, because sometimes they cancel because of elections as well. And so we've talked before about doing like an annual update on that of the different groups we go to, and so I think it would be useful. So there's something in that, getting the list right first. And I know there's a reason why we put these external reps, but it's getting more complex. We've got a lot of partnerships, and we should show where we're going, I think.
Is it going to help me just give a very brief outline of the CJC?
If you'd like to.
Yeah, very quick. I think Caroline is trying to collect a report,
Yes.
which will come to you once we.
There is a report, partnership report that we have proposed in July. Is that correct, Maya? Yes, which will report on all of the authorities' partnerships, both member partnerships and office partnerships.
Yeah. So the Southwest CJC, we are members, but only officially in relation to planning. However, we've been co-opted onto the rest of the partnership. So Di as chair represents the authority on the CJC main group, and I attend the meetings as well. Then there are 4 subgroups. There is the Strategic Planning Committee, of which we are full voting members of which the deputy chair represents us. So that will, if they ever get going, oversee the joint strategic development plan, but who knows there. And then there are 3 other groups, the Regional Transport, the Regional Economic and the Regional Energy, of which we are co-opted onto there. And I think there's a scrutiny. Is there a scrutiny committee? Which I think we're co-opted onto as well. And there's an audit committee. So we're not sure the audit committee.
About half an hour.
Yeah, they're not.
No.
So we want the Regional Economic Development Subgroup. We have a vacancy for. So, any takers, please? What's that involves?
I think it oversees the regional economic strategy, which I think has been approved, isn't it? Or is well on the way to being approved, the regional thing. As far as I'm aware, every meeting I've ever been to with the CJC is online. Okay. Because of the regional footprint of it there. So, and
I think if it does meet, I think there are about 3 or 4 meetings in a year.
Yeah.
I think I received invitations.
But you've got to want to have an interest in sort of what's going on economically in the area, and it covers a big area. So, but it is important that we understand what is going in, because it does impact on us. So, do you want to have a chat with Reece first?
Happy to. Yeah, that'd be.
And then just sort of pencil your name in now. And is that acceptable to members?
Yes. Pick somebody else when it
and we do provide staff support. So because the issue I think we have with all of these groups, that obviously some of you have hats as county councillors, but actually the role there is to represent the views of the authority on it, which is fine. Quite often they align, but sometimes they may not.
Well, in that forum, it might.
It might
be slightly more tested.
I think it's good to have an in-depth idea of what these committees are all about, because even though we're councillors or from the AGM, we all have different strengths or interests. So to feed us into the one affects you.
And so we need to understand what's going on now in the wider world, rather than just our own patch. So it's important because it does impact on us. So okay, thank you for that. So
yes,
we'll just answer that. Mike?
Yeah, I totally agree. It's important that we have somebody on these committees. I'm on the transport, and I mentioned to the committee that National Park have got their own LDP that they weren't aware of. So now that is part of the system. Okay, so it is important that we are represented on these committees.
That, in fact, interestingly enough, when this was all set up in the first place, you went up with Janet Evans, our previous Democratic Services Manager, and basically waived the remit letter from Welsh Government, and they weren't aware of what those sort of requirements of us are, and it actually did make them realise that we are a bit of a force.
Yeah, of
They
course.
called it feisty, but they lived it up.
That's fine. We don't mind.
Genuinely didn't realise
No,
that.
but
The and the common possibilities, the overlap.
So yeah, we don't mind being called feisty.
So we got ourselves on those committees.
We worked hard to get us on.
Yeah, it's important that we attend, even though we can't vote necessarily on most of them. It's important that we're there and we're seen to be there, and if we've got an input, to input it. So thank you. Okay, we'll just have a chat with Reece, and then but if we can. Thank you. Port of Milford Haven Advisory Committee. So we've got Councillor Steve Alderman, but we haven't got a substitute. So does anybody have a desire to do that? I mean, I don't know how many meetings that is per year.
Haven't had one yet.
You haven't had one yet.
Oh, that sounds easy.
I'm not sure we necessarily need a substitute,
Shall we-
if I'm honest.
If you can't do it, Steve, perhaps you could let opposite know, one of us,
As it turns out, that, you know, the port are having 2 open days this next 2 days. So
Okay.
there's one in Torch tomorrow, another one then on Friday morning in Peterhall.
Yeah.
So if anybody's interested on their process, because obviously there's a lot going on. And as chairman of the council, I've been invited tomorrow night to.
well, you're in a prime position actually to,
Yeah, so the
Explain
chairman
things
is moving on. Chris Martin, Dr. Chris Martin.
Yes.
So they're having to do to celebrate that his time there. So I've been invited for that. So if anybody you know.
well, so it sounds as if you're probably going to be in attendance for the next year because of the role that you're playing in.
Indeed, there is that. Yeah.
The food, Steve.
Okay.
Yes, it's in the tea hut fence. You know, so.
So if you could
I've
just,
been there before.
so you could just let us know if you can't make something, then we can
Thank
find
you.
an alternative. Thank you.
That's
Steve.
one of the reasons why I'm not volunteered, because my calendar is becoming exceeding.
Yes, I know you're going to be really busy for the next year. Thank you. I think, was it Reece that was on the advisory? Yeah. We have a vacancy for there. So is there anybody?
I would happily volunteer, Chair, for the Pembrokeshire College Advisory Forum. Unless other
Thank you.
members want
Do I have
to.
any other takers?
I would have done had he not, but I'm
Oh,
delighted.
sorry.
No, I'm delighted. Highly appropriate, Simon.
Invited.
Thank you. Is everybody's happy with that? Good. Sounds, well, I think that's it, isn't it?
It is, so perhaps I can take you to the recommendations on the bottom of page 4.
Oh, does it, I know. Would anybody else like to represent the Pembrokeshire in this? I'm mindful I've sat on it for quite a while. And if there's anybody else that
It's
would like.
not broke, don't fix it.
No.
Yeah.
I want to change, I don't know. But if there is anybody. No, okay, right, I'll leave it as is. Thank you, Karen.
The recommendations bottom of page 3, top of page 4, I think they are.
Yes.
So obviously we've the last 2 are to confirm the appointments to the remaining committees and groups.
I'm happy to move that the membership of the remaining committees and groups and the authorities' representation on external.
Happy to second, Chair.
Yeah.
Thank you. All those in favour, please. Unanimous. Thank you very much. And that is the end of the AGM. Thank you very much. We'll have a short break while we have picks and possibly a quick comfort break as well.
Yeah.
Where would you like?
Gonna go outside, it's nice.
Nice.